Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are enjoying algebra class today. Before you get started on compound interest, I thought I'd give you a little refresher. You're going to do 8 problems for me in a second, but I want to go over the formula again and just give you at least one example to try to help you out. This is the formula for compound interest. The amount, that's the total amount. So that's going to be the final amount you get out of something if you apply interest to it. And of course, P is your starting amount, also known as your principal. And then you obviously have an interest rate. Got to be a decimal, not a whole number, of course. And then the number of times it's compounded per year, the number of years. And again, this n means the same thing as this n. This is just the number of times per year. Let's go through an example, and perhaps it'll make a little more sense. Again, I'm going to just write it here. The amount is equal to the principal, equal to 1 plus the rate divided by the number of times you're compounding it. That's an R, I promise. R divided by N. Raised to the number of times you compound it to the number of years. So in this example, talking about my friend Josh, he bought a truck for $28,000. And you're just going to plug this into the formula for principal, because that is the starting amount of the loan that he took out, $28,000. Pretty expensive, right? He's going to add that to 1 plus his interest rate, which is 5%, so that's 0.05 as a decimal. And he's going to divide that by the number of times it's compounded a year. Now it says it's every month. Month means 12 times a year. And the reason you have to divide it is because ultimately you're not charged 5% every month. You're charged 5% over the course of an entire year. So you have to divide that percentage into 12 different segments. And then lastly, you have to raise that to the number of times you're actually going to calculate the interest. So obviously, we have 5 years that he's paying interest, but he's also paying interest every month for 5 years. 5 times 12, I'm just going to go ahead and do just for simplicity's sake. That's 60 times total that we're going to have to recalculate how much interest he's paying. Now, I will say this is a more simplified version, because the reality is if he pays money in 1 month, maybe he pays more than just the amount that he owes that month, well, now you have to recalculate the interest based on what he has left over. So it's a little more complicated perhaps than what I'm making it. But assuming he's going to be charged, the interest for the entire life of the loan, I'm just going to go ahead and plug this into a calculator. You can do 28,000 times 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12. It's important you use parentheses. Raised to, and again, important to use parentheses, 60. If I do that correctly, I end up getting something that's 35,934, about. I guess I'll do 0.04 as well. So in the end, he's paying $35,934.04. That's a lot of money for one truck, and it's a lot more than the original amount for the loan. And again, all I did is just plug in these numbers, okay? Interest rate is R, make sure it's a decimal. The amount of worth, the value of whatever you're talking about, that's the principal. And then number of years, and how many times are you calculating the interest per year. Generally speaking, oftentimes we do assume that we're compounding something monthly, but you might see things like quarterly, which would be 4 times a year, or even semi-annually, which would be twice a year. Maybe even semi-monthly, that would be every other month. Bi-monthly would be twice a month, that would be 24 times a year. Lots of different combinations, but usually you're going to see quarterly or monthly, perhaps yearly. In that case, if it was yearly, the number of times per year is 1, and you're really just going to take it to the t power, which makes a lot of sense, because this number is essentially how many times do you have to multiply by the interest rate to figure out how much you're going to add. We'll go over it a little more. Just make sure that you guys can do this, because tomorrow we are going to play the game of life in class. And you guys are actually going to have to buy some cars, you're going to have to buy some houses, I don't know, maybe a boat. You never know. Anything you might have to finance in life, we're going to practice that a little bit. Just so you guys, if nothing else, get an understanding of how expensive life really is. Hope that helps. Unfortunately, I'm not here to help you. Be sure to use each other with your Classcraft groups and get these 8 questions done for me, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks.